Morning, folks. Councilman Rasmussen here, coming to you with my update from our council meeting last night, September 19th, 2020. Talk like a pirate day, but we forgot to talk like pirates, so sorry about that if anybody was on Zoom and was hoping for it. We actually had a really very small agenda last night. It was a quick meeting, for the most part, at least the public portions of the meeting. Couple of the updates that were shared. First and foremost, I hope that some folks made it out to the community day that was not this last Saturday, but the Saturday before. We were over there in the park. There were lots of people out. It was a great time. My kids had a blast doing the scavenger hunt and painting rocks, though I missed getting to go up in the bucket truck, which I would have thought would be pretty cool. But thank you very much to the Parks and Rec Committee and everybody for putting that on. It was a really cool day, and I hope that folks made it out. Hopefully that becomes an annual event. We have another event coming up. So this one is scheduled, I've mentioned it before, November 29th. Every year we do a Veterans Day event. It doesn't often actually happen on Veterans Day for a variety of reasons because of other commitments and other events. This year it's going to be November 29th at the Opera House, where council members have an opportunity to honor members of our community who are veterans who've served our country. There's a presentation of a plaque. There's a banner that gets presented, that gets put up around town. So that is going to be November 29th. If you'd like to attend, it's going to be at the Smyrna Opera House. I believe it's at 6 p.m. But it's a nice event, and there's usually some food, which makes my kids want to go. Another update that was shared from last night is basically on the Munis conversion. I've mentioned this a number of times. The ERP system the town is implementing. Implementation continues. We get closer and closer. We're one module in. We're going to be every month now and every quarter implementing new modules from this process. It takes a long time. It'll then probably take another year or so of training and additional work to make sure that people know how the system works and can operate it as effectively as possible. These are multi-year processes, but it continues. And ideally, it sets us up for a better system to serve and manage the needs of the town in a number of different ways. Those are the big updates. On the agenda items that were shared last night, we really had two things that I wanted to mention. One was we had a couple of rezonings. There are throughout town a number of properties that for one reason or another are not zoned as they're intended to be in our comprehensive plan. So every 10 years we're supposed to update our comprehensive plan, and that's an opportunity to look at all of the zoning in town to make sure that it matches up with really what we want the intended uses of those properties to be. This last update it took more than 10 years. I think it was around 16 years since the last time we did it. And there's a lot of properties that we wanted to change simply because they might be categorized differently, or we've changed our zoning designations over that time period. We are trying to move through a process to do all of those rezonings at once, but every once in a while a property hits that needs to be rezoned almost immediately. So we had a couple of those that we needed to do because the property owners would like to develop that property, and in order to do so they need to bring it to the proper zoning district. It's a small thing. It is a sort of a management type of activity, and you'll probably see us doing a lot of these lately because there's a lot of these little changes that need to happen. But they are meaningful in that it makes sure that we have zoning that we feel represents the characteristics and needs of our community. So we had a couple of those real quick ones. I mean, they took just a couple of minutes. There's no objections to them. The town staff, says, look, this is in line with our comprehensive plan. We recommend doing this, and then council sort of has to approve that. There was one piece on our consent agenda that is an actual ordinance, making some updates to the town code as it relates to animals. There have been changes over the last couple of years in how the state and county police animal control or operate animal control. Some questions of who is responsible, who can designate what roles, and it gives the town the ability to designate a member of the police force if necessary to act in an animal control role versus having to rely on every aspect of that being done by the county. So there's some changes that are required. This is the first reading of that. It will come up 2 more times over the course of the next month, and we will before the ordinance is fully approved. So a little bit of housekeeping, but could be something meaningful in that we do get a lot of animal complaints in town, and sometimes our police officers have to call in the animal control officers in order to address some of those issues, and hopefully this can streamline that process a little bit more for us. Those were really the big things on our agenda last night. Like I said, it was a pretty simple meeting, not a lot going on. I'm sure that our next agenda will probably be longer, and you'll get to hear more from me. But those are the major things. So again, a quick thank you for everybody who did all of the great work putting together the community day last week. Sorry, I guess it was almost 2 weeks ago now. And keep an eye out for some additional information from our Parks and Recs committee around some movies in the parks and things that are in the works for coming up later on this year. That's it. Very fast. Hope everybody has a wonderful Tuesday. And if you have any questions, comments, anything like that, please reach out. I'll do my best to try and get you whatever information you need. Thank you and have a wonderful day.